Warning: this podcast will challenge your thinking. Welcome to Business Problems Solved. In this podcast, we help you solve your business problems by providing real examples and practical approaches to make today better than yesterday. Introducing your host, the multi-sector, self-professed, most improved improvement person and qualified business problem solver, Lee Horton.
Hey, it's Lee. Welcome to Business Problem Solved. Today I have the immense pleasure of bringing to you one of the most humble and genuine individuals that I've ever had the pleasure of meeting. Ricky Locke is a customer experience speaker, he's a trainer, and he's also a magician. Creating a magical customer experience. We've all had them, but how do we create them? Listen on, and Ricky will share with you what it is that we can all do to create those magical customer experiences. And if you haven't yet rated the podcast, reviewed the podcast, or subscribed to it, then please do, because it helps me bring amazing people like Ricky closer to us all. Have an amazing week, and we'll chat next. Hey, it's Lee. Welcome to Business Problem Solved. Today I have the immense pleasure of chatting with Ricky Locke. Ricky is trainer, speaker, fellow podcaster, customer experience guru, and also magician. How the devil are you, Ricky?
Oh, very well, thank you, Lee. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. So thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you.
No, I'm so grateful of this opportunity to chat. We've throughout lockdown, we've been able to talk more. Well, we met during lockdown, not physically, but like via this medium, and then we've had a number of chats since. And and that's why I'm really looking forward to this, actually, because I want to know more about the man that is the legend that is Mr. Locke. So I guess without further ado, what has got you to that seat today, Ricky?
Oh, wow. Great question. I'm really looking forward to it, because as you know, I'm a big fan of your podcast, and I left a lovely review, because I generally mean that. I love your questions, and I can't wait for the question at the end of the show. So yeah, I love this. So I'm going to start first by saying a thank you, Lee, for inviting me on, because I know that, like you just said, that we've never met in person, but I feel a strong connection to you because of Pete Can. Pete Can was the man that kind of got us together. So thank you, Pete. But how did I get here? Well, it's an interesting story, really, because for a lot of people, they go through life, and I kind of coasted, I think, for a large portion of my life. I didn't really know what I wanted to do in my life, and I coasted. I left school. A lot of my friends were going to university. They kind of knew where they wanted to go. I never really wanted to go uni. It wasn't really something that was important to me. I think if I would have gone, it would have just been purely for the fun and having a good time. And I remember in sixth form, we had to do work experience. And I already had a job as a 16-year-old in Argos in Peterborough, working on weekends, picking tickets. If you remember, about 15 years ago, they used to bring all the items out onto the conveyor belt and all that. That was me. And I used to bring out on these little pieces of paper tickets. You'd buy something, I'd go pick it and bring it out. And I said to my boss, look, Darren, I've already got a job, and I've been asked at sixth form to do work experience. I don't see the point of going anywhere else. Can I just stay here? And he said, yeah, sure, Ricky. We'll stick you on the tills, if you like, for 2 weeks, and we'll pay you. I went, brilliant, okay. And Lee, as you know me now, you probably wouldn't believe this, but I was a bit of a bat in the stock cave. In the stock room, I just stood there, arms folded, waited for a beep, a little ticket, picked the item, and went and got it. And I stayed in the stock room, didn't talk to customers. And when I got on the till, I loved it. It was brilliant. Wow. It was great to talk to people. And then as a 16, 17-year-old to get 2 weeks full-time pay, loved it. Absolutely loved it. And I said, that's it. I'm leaving sixth form. I've had enough. I finished the first year and went to go get full-time to invest into cars and, growing up, I guess. And it went towards my P-Reg Ford Fiesta, 1996. So good investment. And and that's kind of what basically where I stayed. So in a long story, I'll get to the answer of how I got here. But I stayed there for about 15 years. Didn't think that I was going to do anything else in my life. I thought I was going to be one of the colleagues that had been there for 20, 30 years, and worked my way up the ranks, became a team leader. And then I started to develop this kind of passion for people, which was, thank you to your kind intro about customer experience, which I'll come on to. I really started to enjoy interacting with people, leading people, and also helping customers as well. So I did lots of different roles, and eventually I became a stock manager. at another store. So worked up my ranks and loved it. We did some great turnarounds, got some great results, and then kind of worked away around around the country, really. Did various different roles, became a customer service manager, and loved that. Loved interacting with people because I got to see my personality kind of come out and that kind of thing. And then eventually I became a regional development coach and started coaching junior members of managers to progress up into the next level. So if they were like a stock team leader, I would coach them into being like a store manager or a stock manager or CSM, that kind of thing. And that's kind of where one of the early light bulb moments for me happened, when I thought, I really like people. I like being in front of an audience, and I like those light bulb moments that you share on your podcast and that you do in your day job, Lee, where you can just see people get it and they go, oh yes, this is what I need to do. And really love that. But joined with this, I was also performing magic tricks. So in the staff room, I'd perform magic tricks to bribe my team to make them work for me. I thought that if they liked me and if they thought I was cool, they probably want to work for me, which was really fun. But it made it really difficult, Lee, when I had to sack people because they thought that I was their friend. That was difficult. But yeah, started doing that and started taking little gigs on the weekends. I remember my first gig for the Freemasons was like £30 for 7 hours work, which was crazy. And then just started to work up. And one of my last kind of roles in Argos, it was very processy. It wasn't really for me, and became a national trainer. And we'd go around the country running team building workshops and customer experience workshops. And I loved it. It was fantastic. It was Monday to Friday. Previous to that, for like 10 years, I was working every weekend in Argos. And with that, I realized, well, there's a gap here. I've got weekends free. So I started to build a business, and I built a business for the Ricky Lock Magic side for the wedding industry. Started performing at events and weddings on the weekend. And it just got to a point where it was like scales, where I thought that there's going to be a point here where I'm going to have to make a decision. And I remember a conversation with my boss in December 2019. I think I'm going to have to leave soon. And she said to me, Ricky, just wait. I think we might get made redundant next year. I went, all right, okay. So January 2020 came. And by the way, Lee, just between me and you, don't say anything. But there was a couple of Fridays when I'd disappear early to go do a quick wedding. But just between me and you, don't say anything. January 2020, we got the announcement saying that we are no longer required in the new strategy of where the business was going. Sainsbury's had bought Argos, which is quite ironic as a change trainer. Going through one of the biggest UK retail change programs, that you get rid of the change trainers. But anyway, I'm not a CEO. So we got the announcement, and I got made redundant 1 week before the lockdown last year. Oh, wow. Thought the stars were aligned. I had 50 weddings in the diary. I thought that was great. I'm going to walk away with a nice payout. And then, it literally all disappeared overnight. And as you know, as the same for your industry as well, people postponed and cancelled, and we went into lockdown. And then over the last 12 months, that's got me to this chair right now. I started to integrate into different groups and networking, moved into doing online shows and Christmas parties. And that's where I originally met Pete at Kindfest, where I was doing a little bit of a magic show there. And I also started a podcast and started to think, well, actually, I really like this. And whilst we wait for the world to open, I really like this kind of business side of things. And 12 months later of doing that, I'm now here. Absolutely grateful to be in this same room with you. So a bit of a whirlwind tour, but wow. There you go.
What a journey. What a journey. Yeah. And I guess, what a journey in the last 15 months as well, forgetting the journey before that. But I just want to talk about the journey before the last 15 months. I've got so many questions about from the redundant, from the payment onwards and that decision. But you described yourself as the person, the boy in the stock room, in the dark room, just picking the thing and putting it on. And what advice would you give that version of Ricky Lock now, knowing what you know?
Wow, that's a really good question. Excuse me. So it's a really good question, Lee. And I would say to probably keep an open mind. I think I was very fixed back in those days, thinking, well, this is just it. This is what you all now do. But I mean, the last 12 months alone has exposed how much there is you can do. And I think even in that career, I was so blinkered of thinking, well, this is all you can do. But when I started your own business, it was like, wow, you mean I've got freedom to do what I want. So I think if I was to give that advice to them, it would be and anyone in that position who's just quite, comfortable, step out your comfort zone, keep an open mind and try new things. Yeah. And that was, I think at the time I probably would have gone, shut up. What are you all about? But I'm so glad that I did. It's interestingly though, because I think I never used to believe in myself. Other people saw something in me, like my line managers that told me you should be a stock manager. I was like, oh, I'm just a team leader. I'm not a stock manager. So there's probably a piece about believing in yourself as well, which I don't think I had, you know.
Do you believe in yourself now, Ricky?
I do. Yeah. I think there's times though when we all have those moments, don't we? A bit of imposter syndrome. We look on social media and go, blimey, why am I doing that? You know, I should be doing that, shouldn't I? You know, but yeah, I definitely have more higher self-esteem now than I did. But I think that's progressed, isn't it, through life as you learn. Yeah. So yeah, a little bit more belief now. Yeah,
good. And so you should, as well, because and in fact, actually, those 3 or 4 lessons that you've just mentioned then, when lockdown hit, believing in yourself, keeping an open mind, trying new things, and then there's a 4th one that you mentioned as well that's just escaped my mind. Have you have you done those 4 things throughout the last 14, 15 months? Is that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think one of the things for me was I think I was very blinkered to the point of like, you know, I generally thought the stars had aligned where I was at a point thinking, how am I this lucky that I'm going to walk away with, you know, 15-year payout? My business is booming. It was great. You know, I'd won awards previously before leaving in the wedding industry. And I thought, this is fantastic. You know, how lucky am I? And then when it got taken away, it's interesting, isn't it, that you don't really truly realize what you've got until it's gone.
Yeah.
And I think I had to do all those things. I had to be open-minded. I had to think out of the box. I had to do things in a different way and reframe things. I know that we're quite into personal development, but Pig Wrestling is a great book about reframing problems. I had this big problem thinking, well, hang on a minute, how am I going to get wedding bookings now because I can't go to wedding fairs? And you had to think outside the box and do online stuff. And yeah, so I guess, that those lessons is that from a young age, you had to just jump through it and, you know, step out of that comfort zone and probably burn yourself a couple of times and, you know, pick yourself back up. And, you know, definitely. I'd say, absolutely. Great question.
How do you keep going, Ricky?
These are good questions, Lee. I like this. Do you know what? That's a really interesting one because I don't really have a great answer. So I'm going to give you a bit of waffle, but I think it's about looking at things from abundance and being grateful. Every day that I wake up is truly a wonderful moment, you know. And as Andy Cope says, and you know that I'm a big fan of Andy Cope, if you can wake up every day and you haven't got toothache, then you're winning in life. But I had a lot of bad things happened last year. I lost family members, they passed away. And when I think of it into perspective and reframing it, whilst I'm moaning about that I've got no work, no money's coming in or anything like that during those last 12 months, those people that are no longer here, I'm sure they would love to swap with me to still be here with their family, and they're no longer, unfortunately, here because they passed away. So when you take it into perspective and look at things like that, that's the moment that you have to start from. So every day I wake up is, you know, I'm feeling truly grateful. And, you know, I'm human as well. So there are bad days as well. It's not a perfect, happy, sunny dance every day, but I have to live from that moment of, you know what, I've got a new day to do something, to meet people, to inspire, to create magic, to, you know, engage or entertain. So that's the thing. And also it's about looking at the bigger picture. You know, I'm quite big into my vision boards and thinking of the future and just trying to leave a legacy. I think that's probably really important to me. Yeah.
I love that. Have you always been somebody that's been into personal development and trying to better yourself? Or is there a moment where you kind of, because you said earlier on in your intro, you coasted. So you're definitely not coasting now. So
yes,
you coasted, you're not coasting now. Is there a moment, is there something that happened to flip from coasting?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I did say, I do coast, but when I look back at it, really, there was quite a great bit of progression there. You know, I was learning managerial roles, I was learning how to manage people, health and safety things. So, you know, I probably, I'm taking that all for granted, really, and it probably wasn't coasting, but I think it got to the point where I thought, this is going to be my life now for the next 20, 30 years. But to answer your question, there's always been something inside of me that's always wanted to leave a legacy, like I said. I remember when I was younger, someone said, "You're only a legend when you die," which sounds really morbid. But I thought, what can I do that creates a legacy wherever I go? So if it's when I left a store to go to a new store, that I create such an experience that people will remember that feeling of meeting me. But as a kid, I always wanted to push far ahead of really progressing my skills to see what I could achieve. I don't really take a no, you can't do that. One of my ex-bosses, Rob, he used to say to me, if you want Ricky to do something, tell him he's not good at it and he'll smash it. And that's something that I've carried with me all my life, because I'm not a master of everything, but I can play the guitar, the drums, the piano, not to like a really full extent, but I just love trying new things. So there's always been something within me, to answer your question, that's always wanting to see how far can Ricky actually go and what can the full potential of Ricky be. So yeah, that's always been from a young age, and I think I'm carrying that into my life. I don't know, when I have my baby later on this year, maybe that'll change, because I'll probably just be sleeping and tired, and the skateboarding is going to have to stop, I've been told. So yeah, we'll see.
Just I guess manage a little bit of expectation, Ricky. You won't be sleeping. You'll be awake.
That's true.
Yeah, you'll be awake for very long periods of time.
That's true.
So based on what you just said about Rob, then what are you not very good at that you want to be better at?
Oh, well, you know what? I think one of the things that I am probably, not as a weakness, I think if I am told I'm bad at something, there's like a switch that flicks up in my mind that it's kind of like makes me want to prove to them that they're wrong, which is sometimes quite a bad thing. But I think it's also to prove to myself, like, I don't want to hear that feedback. So if I'm told something that I'm not very good at, I'll really go out of my way to make sure that, no, I don't know, I'm not going to take that. I want to prove to myself that I'm credible. And then I can say, yeah, I'm not good at it, you know. So I don't like it if people judge me before they kind of know me, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So that's quite strange. Tech is an interesting thing. For some reason, I've had this terrible belief, even as a kid. I think it's because when I was younger, I knackered my dad's PC up quite a lot. I made a short video. It's on YouTube. I'll send a link to you at some point. I made a start-stop animation video, and I did it on Paint, if you remember Paint, Lee. And I think I made like 1,000 pictures, because it was just start, stop like this, you know. And I think it was too much memory and it knackered up the PC. So from an early age, I've always had this problem with tech of like, you know, tech doesn't work for me. Oh no, I'm not good at tech. And this is proven over the last 12 months when my laptop broke. I did online shows. The camera didn't work. I did an online show yesterday and nothing was working. That really is one of my weaknesses. Yeah. So I think there might be a knowledge piece here. Yeah. You know, I think it's a knowledge piece. If I'm not clued up on something, I'm probably a lesser version of myself. Not that I don't want to be an expert of everything, but I just need to know some basics of stuff. I think that's a weakness. If I don't know something, and maybe there's a FOMO thing. One of the things I hate is if you join a conversation and you can hear people talking about something, and if you don't know about it, it makes you feel like you're not part of that conversation. Yeah. So yeah, it's a weird thing. I feel like this is therapy now, Lee. Yeah. Therapy. Yeah, I'm going to cry in a minute. Yeah. But yeah, that's probably one of my weaknesses, and I think imposter syndrome as well. I think I don't take many chances to reflect on what I've achieved. I'm always, as you know, progressing forward and pushing further ahead, that I sometimes think and forget what I've achieved. And sometimes I may look at something else and go, well, why am I doing that? You know, comparisonitis. Why am I doing that? Why am I getting this? And why am I getting that? But actually, when you take it back and look at, wow, bloody hell, yeah, you have come really far, Ricky. And I think that, you know, message to everyone listening to this, sometimes we really need to just step back and go, let's look at the journey that we've gone on, because it's not really about the end goal, is it? It's about the journey and experiencing that. So sometimes I can get in that. I think though as well, you know, combination of COVID as well is made that really more difficult, because everyone's business has just disappeared, hasn't it? So yeah, they're probably my weaknesses. Yeah.
Wow.
Great question, Lee. I've never been asked that on a podcast. So thank you. I love that question. Yeah.
Well, no, thanks, Ricky. And I guess the final question about you before we move on to magical customer experiences and stuff. What's your biggest success in the last 15 months?
Oh, wow. I was going to say, this sounds really cliche, doesn't it? But I'm truly grateful that we're going to be having a baby. as someone said to me, that's the most productive thing you've done in lockdown, Ricky. I think I'm very proud of some of the awards I've won in the wedding industry. So I'm the highly commended Wedding Magician of the Year for 2021. So I'm like the second best wedding magician in the UK. I'm a Magic Circle member as well. I'm very proud of that as well. So as a kid, that was something to aspire into. Yeah. And also, I think just into basics, really. You know, I've got a house, a roof above me, food. I think that's what I'm proud of. And actually, do you know what, Lee? I'm going to change the answer to, I'm proud of being here right now, talking to you, knowing that I may have been stubborn over the last 12 months, but I've pushed and pushed, and I haven't had to revert back to go and get a job that is soul destroying. You know, I'm very pleased that I've pushed and pushed and believed in myself, that I'm still here like 15 months later doing what I love. So I think that's probably one of the proudest things. Yeah.
Amazing. You're an amazing man, Ricky Locke. You really are, right? And I know you said earlier on that you don't reflect enough. I think you bloody well should do, because you've done so much and delivered so much, and you're meticulous in what you do as well. You call it, before we hit record, you said that you're a perfectionist with some stuff, but I think you're just meticulous with what you do and how you do it. And I know that I can learn so much from you in terms of how I do stuff. So no, honestly,
thank you.
An amazing person. And I guess we've got some parallels in our careers as well, because I used to DJ and I DJed for years, and then I had that balance where I had to decide, do I want a proper job or am I going to carry on DJing? And I decided, because I looked at my dad and he was like 50 odd years old, with dodgy knees, carrying equipment back and forth to venues on a Saturday night. I decided that I actually wanted to try to get myself a proper job. And when I look back at me, my DJing stuff, I learned so much in terms of customers coming into the pubs at different times, the types of music that they like, and all of that type of stuff. What have you learned from your magic that you're taking forward into your customer experience, training, speaking?
Yeah, great question. So it's interesting, isn't it? Because magic, I think that to a lot of people, it's lots of different meanings. And I often say this, you know, when we think about selling the sizzle or not the steak, when I talk to people, it's about what magic is. So magic to me is not about the trick. It's about the experience, the feeling that you feel. And I say it too many times, but the Maya Angelou phrase, people won't remember what you said, they won't remember what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And I sell this in my pitch at wedding fairs, is that if you book me, I promise you, your guests might not remember my name, they probably might not remember my face, but what they won't forget is how they felt on your special day. And they had a great time. And that's kind of what I try to do, I think, in everything. So not only as I'm going forward with speaking and the customer experience training side, even when I now reflect back, thinking about in Argos, and I mentioned about 10 minutes ago about leaving a legacy, I think there's that magic that I've always wanted. And I don't think I've ever had my finger on it to work out what it was, but I think it is magic. What magic can we create that makes people have such an amazing experience? When I was back in Argos, it would be how I led my team, how they cried when I left, because it was such an emotional goodbye. You know, it was such a wonderful thing, and, you know, so many memories that we still keep in contact now. So I think what it is that feeling. What can we create in our day job every day, or in our business, or in life as well, that creates such a wonderful experience? You know, we mentioned this before, Lee, at some point, you know, like when you think about London on a tube and people are stuck down in their phones. But actually, if you lift up, like we've seen over the last 12 months, we've actually lifted up away and realized what's really important to us, and it's family, spending time with our kids, whatever it might be. And that kind of just echoes into everything. So in answer to your question, I would say that it's got to be, what I've learned from magic is helping people to take them away from whatever they're thinking right now. It could be if they're worrying about their mortgage, their bills, but just for that split second or a few minutes, they're having a wonderful time. They are feeling great. They're getting a sense of magic and a sense of wonder. And I guess that's kind of mirrored into what I do with the customer experience side, is that I help small businesses to create magical customer experiences, because it is about that wonderful feeling that we can give to people and to stand out from the crowd. So yeah,
love that. How do businesses, or how can businesses understand what they can do to make their customers or people feel more?
Yeah. So I think it's really, really simple, and it's just about being human. And that's genuinely it. It's about making a human connection that people connect on an emotional level. Harold Saltzman, who has a book from Harvard University, he says that 95% of customer decisions are based on emotion. And it's that whole thing you've probably heard from Simon Sinek, that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. I've got loads of couples that have booked me online. They've never even met me, but because of the experience that I provided for them in the lead up to it, the conversations, the sending little gifts to them, they don't even know how good a magician I am or could be. I mean, I'm not that great, to be honest, if I'm honest, I'm okay. But it's that feeling, isn't it, of making it stand out from the crowd. And I think that the real simple thing here is to connect to people on an emotional level. And I think we recognize this, Lee, when we see the difference between small businesses to really large companies. So, for example, when we see like, I'll just say like Currys and PC World, for example, as a big company, they don't know who you are, whereas a small business, it is more intimate, it's more connected. You could probably say names, first names, businesses, where people live, what their hobbies are, what they're interested in. We kind of lose that in the bigger companies in the corporate world. But I think that they can still do that as well. Generic emails, can we not make it a little bit more fun and do like some fun videos? I had a really fun thing from I haven't got it with me, but one of my supplier friends, who's actually my wedding cake supplier, to emphasize this point, Lee, there's a point here that I'm going to address here. She sent me and Danielle a card a few weeks ago. It was a branded card from her company called Sugar Buttons. And we booked her for our wedding cake for the wedding day. Okay, so that's it. That's all we booked her for. But she posted something to us that was a branded card, and on the back it said, "To Ricky and Danielle, congratulations on your big baby news. That's a wonderful, lovely little thing. Here's a little treat for you." Wow. Yeah. And inside was like a little pack of brownies, which we love. We've told her so many times we love her brownies. Yeah, that's amazing. Because when we booked her, we never said, "Oh, we'll book you, Imogen, just as long as that when we do finally have a baby, we want those brownies and that branded card. But if you're not doing that, we don't want you." We don't say that. It's an added value thing and giving value. That is what makes that wonderful experience. That means that for me in my industry, if any of my wedding couples that have booked me for their wedding turn around and say, "Ricky, we need a wedding cake supplier," I'm going to say, "Oh, great. You don't need a wedding cake supplier. You need the wedding cake supplier, and her name is Imogen." Yeah. And that's what we can do, I think, in our businesses, is create such a powerful experience that I have a bit of a cheesy acronym I was told a couple of weeks ago because it fits with the magic. It is called magic, and it's about being memorable, amazing, giving value, having intention and connecting. And when you think about Imogen's example there, it's a memorable thing. That was such a wonderful thing for us. We'll never forget that. It's amazing. Like a magician, she's amazed us. It's giving extra value. She didn't have to do that. That's cost her business money. There's a nice intention there. The intention there really is to make us feel special. It's not about her. It was about us. So it's taking it from a different point. And the C is the connection. Yeah. She's connected to us on a human level. There's a similar point with this, Lee, which I think I've shared with you before about my little my branded chocolate bars and things like this. I think have I shared this before?
No, you haven't. This is new. This is.
Have I not? No. Oh, right. Okay, cool. So this kind of fits with the point, Lee, and I explain this to you. Excuse me, everyone. Sorry, I've got a husky voice today. So for anyone listening, I'm holding up a little chocolate bar for Lee, which is Lee may think I'm narcissistic because it's got a picture of me. I'm not narcissistic, I promise. This is just my branding, but it's a picture of me doing a fork bend like Uri Geller. It's one of my favorite photos that I use on my branding. And on the back of this little chocolate bar is some white space, so you can write a message. And there's also like one of these cards as well. So I'm holding like a branded card, which is me. And on the back, it says, "Thank you." I've got 3 different branded cards. But one of the things that I did last year, which made me realize why I want to kind of go into this customer experience thing, was because I was seeing things that I thought was natural to me, but it wasn't to anyone else. And the example is that me and Danielle should have got married in 2020. It obviously didn't go ahead. I don't know if you know, Lee, there was a global pandemic last year.
Yeah.
Big thing.
Yeah.
Sort of. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Probably heard about it on the news. Yeah. And it didn't go ahead. Now, because I work in the wedding industry, I had about 50 to 60 couples that postponed twice, maybe 3 times. every single one of those couples, I sent them a branded card, and I've got a branded card that says on the back, the best things in life are worth waiting for. And then I'd send them 2 little chocolate bars that would be on the back, and it would say, to Lee and Mary, happy should have been wedding day. And then the other chocolate bar would be, I'll see you in 2022. And again, like what Imogen did there, it was just an intention to make them know that I care about them as a human level, that it's not just about the money. This is about the experience that I want to give them. I'm not the magician. I'm not a magician. I'm the magician. Yeah. But the biggest thing was that I realized was that no other supplier did that for me. And I wasn't expecting this. It's not about receiving stuff, it's all about giving. And I know that people were on hard times, people kind of closed up and they were looking after our businesses, but not one single business reached out to us to say, I know today should have been the best day of your life. We're thinking of you.
Yeah.
But you can probably guess, Lee, from my example earlier on, one of my suppliers did. Can you guess who it is?
It was Imogen.
It was.
Yeah.
And that, to me, made me realize, why don't other people see this? And why am I doing this? So I thought, well, hang on, there's a gap here. I can probably help people understand that actually, do you know what? We can create more magic. It's not difficult. Yes, this might cost like 20p to make, and the chocolate bar might be £1, but there are simple things. You don't have to buy stuff. A handwritten card, excuse me, is so powerful. What can we do that will just make us stand out from the crowd, that will create such a powerful experience? And it's just human. That's it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. One question: how do you start? Right, and the reason why I ask this is because people, irrelevant of size of business, everybody's got to start somewhere. And you've mentioned being human, getting the connection, and the other magic letters. Where would you start, and how do you know that is the right place to start for a business?
Yeah, so I think it's about listening. When we talk about like sales, when I think back to my old corporate days, sales is all about listening. And it's really about, if you want to connect on a human level, and if you're starting a business right now, listen to this podcast, and you want to create such a powerful experience that will make you stand out from the crowd, it's about listening to your couple, to your client, to your business, whatever it might be, and really hearing what are the problems, or what do they get up to? And to give you an example of this, I'll come back to that answer, Lee. Again, this is an example from my business. There was a couple, 2 ladies who should have been getting married to each other. When we met them, I often talked to them about, hey, tell me what you're up to. What do you do? What do you do outside of work and stuff, And we got into this conversation about pina coladas, and they said, oh, we love pina colada. We love it.
Yeah.
And I wrote it down on a piece of paper. Literally, after they walked away from my wedding stand, I just wrote it down. I thought, the 2 ladies that I've seen do pina colada, they eventually booked me. They came back and booked me, and I wrote it down and stored it. When they got in 2020, when they should have got married in 2020, it didn't happen. And then earlier on this year, in 2021, they decided to get married legally, and they're going to have their vow renewal next year. And they messaged me and said, hey, Ricky, just to let you know, we actually got married. And I said, oh, congratulations, fantastic. And I said, but don't worry, we still want you. You're going to perform at our vow renewal. But we just thought we'd let you know because we've now changed our surname. And I went, fantastic. So I sent them a bottle of pina colada. Congratulations. Amazing. So in answer to the question, if you're starting out, it's about listening. A simple thing such as making notes, hearing what your customers are talking about, what they get up to, build some rapport with people, because that couple said to me, oh my God, how on earth did you know we like pina colada? I just listened. Yeah. And I just made a note. That's it. So that's what I'd say. If you're starting out, really the emphasis is all got to be about giving. It's not about receiving. It's really about listening and giving people an experience. So really hear what are their problems, really hear what are they into, and just make a note. It's that simple.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. No, thank you so much for that. You are an amazing individual, Ricky Locke. What's next for you? I mean, so you've mentioned your own wedding, your impending arrival as well, your new business venture. What is next for Ricky Locke apart from those things?
I know. Well, I know that we share a similar goal, and congratulations to you for TED. A big thing for me is for TED. I'm a huge fan of TED Talk. That's one of the big dreams and big goals. I have recently just created a course which is called How to Create a Magical Customer Experience, which is for startups and small business owners, that they can learn with me, with talking heads, hands-on videos of how you can create stuff like the chocolate bars and stuff to create an experience. And I think that's the next thing for me, is thinking, right, I've got something really cool here. What can I now do? And tying that into my speaking to get that message out to the world. So, and then start creating more magic. Yeah. So I know that obviously I'm a big fan of Jeff Ram. I know Jeff's been on your podcast. He has the celebrity service. Yeah. So mine's kind of a slightly different one of about magic. You know, it's that feeling of magic. And I just think that we could all be creating magic, really. It's not difficult. I think you don't have to be a magician to do it. But my goal is, right, I've got this funky thing. Let's get it out there and let's inspire small businesses to be better at what we can do.
Yeah. So that course that you just mentioned, how do people find out about it?
Yeah, sure. So I did a soft launch just a few weeks ago at a keynote. So it's not really out to the public, but it is, but you'd have to find it. But I can give you a link, Lee, because by the time this goes out, it'll probably be out to the main public. And if we can put it in the show notes, it's part of the Unlocked School. So my podcast is called Unlocked. So I've called it the Unlocked School, and there'll be more courses on there in the future. But I'll put a link and send it to you, Lee, for the show notes.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. And Ricky, before we hit record, you said you'd prepared an answer to one question.
Yes.
And this is that question. What are you having for your tea?
Lee, we are having a pasta bake tonight. A pasta bake, yeah. I even asked Danielle, I said, before I go on the podcast, Lee's going to ask me, what am I having for dinner? What are we having for dinner tonight, Danielle? And she went, we're having pasta bake. So, there you go.
Will that be a magic experience?
Always. She's in the other room, so she might be hearing me. But always love a good pasta bake. Love it.
Yeah. Good. Oh no, amazing. You enjoy that pasta bake, Ricky. If people wanted to know more about you, where would they go? What would they find? What would they see?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So I am Ricky Lock across all social media platforms. LinkedIn, come along there. You'll see a lot of the customer experience stuff. I'm on Instagram as well with the wedding business as Ricky Lock Magic, and Facebook as well. And I've got a podcast as well, which a great guest called Lee Horton came onto the podcast as well. It's called Unlocked, and a similar vibe to Lee. I try to help inspire people to be the best version of themselves. So if you type in Unlocked on your favorite podcast platform, you can come and listen to those dulcet tones of me and Lee. on another platform. There you go. Amazing. No, thank you so much, Ricky. Thank you so much for sharing your story, your journey, your lessons, and just being so honest and open. And it's been an absolute pleasure to get to know you over the last year and a half. So thank you so much, and good luck with everything that you've got going on. The baby, the wedding, the business, the courses, the speaking. And like I said, you will be an immense success at whatever you do, because you are an amazing individual. So good luck, Ricky. Thank you, mate. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much. Love the podcast. Keep on smashing it, mate. You're doing a great job. Thanks, Lee.
Thanks for listening to Business Problems Solved. You can contact Lee on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter by searching for Lee Horton, the Business Problem Solver, or via visiting www.leehorton.com for more content and to solve your business problems. And remember, saying you know how to do it is not doing it.